Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when and where you are listening to this. My name is Steve Holland, and this is Comic Cuts. I'm pleased to say that this is kind of the inevitable video that accompanies a new release. So Bear Alley Books has not one, but two titles out. Two brand new titles. One is the fourth volume of Mytek the Mighty, drawn by Bill Lacey, written by Tom Tully, and it concludes all of the strips that appeared originally in Valiant Comic between 1964 and 1970. So this is the fourth and final volume. Contains about 6 stories, including some of my favourites, because I was a child of the 60s, and Valiant was the comic that I started buying in 1969. The story behind that is that I had gone to visit a school friend who lived up the road. I was hoping to borrow a book, even at that young age. That year, I'd seen a re-release of, it was Thunderball and From Russia with Love, that Mr. Wood, another, the dad of another school friend, had taken us to the cinema to see. So I was a bit obsessed with James Bond. My dad was reading James Bond. He was a big fan of Bond in paperback. So I had actually read some of the James Bonds. Even at that young age, I just read everything, anything that my dad left laying around. That was after a copy of Goldfinger, I seem to remember. Don't forget that this is going back nearly 60 years. I was looking for a copy of Goldfinger, and this lad reckoned, Roy his name was, this lad reckoned that his brother might have a copy. It turned out that he didn't have the book, but what he did have was some copies of Valiant tucked away under the bed. These were old ones from 1968. And I can still remember reading the Steel Claw, and I can still picture the very first strip that I saw, which had Lewis Crandall kneeling down. He had his metal hand aimed like a gun, and he shot a football. He was involved in this football match against a bunch of robots. The premise being that if the robots scored a goal, it would blow up the schoolboy newspaper delivery boy, Blackie, who was tied to a goalpost. So Lewis Crandall has no chance of getting back into position to save this goal. So he shoots the football. The air comes out of it, and this floppy, loose ball lands on the ground, and Blackie is saved. And I can still remember that. I believe it's from February 1968. But by the end of 1969, I was converting 7p of my pocket money into a copy of Valiant every week. It was ordered down at our local newsagents, and yes, there are tales told about how I would get so involved in the story between the counter and the door of the newsagents that I did occasionally leave the dog tied up to the fence at the side and walk home without him. Anyway, in those late 60s issues of Valiant, there was Mytek the Mighty, drawn by Bill Lacey. And the story I particularly remember was the one concerning the lectons. These were tiny little light bulb looking aliens. And the story, I'd just never come across anything like it before. In the story, Mytek hitchhikes a ride to a planet called Umbra, where 2 astronauts have crash landed. He lands on Umbra, and almost immediately, in the bright light, something weird happens, and his shadow just creeps away from his body. And Mytek gives chase, and the shadow crawls down through a crack that Mytek can't fit down. This was just astonishing. I'd never read anything like it. I'd never imagined anything like it. So I became a big fan of Mytek. I didn't realise this, but it was only going to last a few more months before Mytek came to an end. So that was my favourite Mytek story. I'm so pleased that I'm able to reprint it here, and I keep banging on about certain strips that I remember fondly. I will talk forever about the Steel Claw, Mytek the Mighty, and various others that I remember so very fondly. And it's great to get this strip back in print, so that others can actually see what I'm talking about, or what I have been talking about for the last 60 years. So that's Mytek the Mighty. It's about 200 pages long. It's black and white. There's a little introduction about the artist Bill Lacey. The previous volume, volume 3, had one huge story. It was about a 200-page story. So there was no room for any introductory material. But there's a short piece about Bill Lacey in this issue, and it'll cost the same as the other volumes. So that will bring my 4 volumes of Mytek the Mighty to an end. And as I said, I'm so very pleased that we've been able to get all 4 volumes out in reasonably short order. I'm hoping I can do more strips, and if I do a longer reprint, as has been the case with Mytek the Mighty, which ran for about 6 years, what I'll try and do is make sure that all the material is there before I start putting them out. That seems only fair to the buyer. As I said, I had the 4 volumes of Mytek finished before we even started putting issue 1 out. The second book I've been working on has been the Air Ace Picture Library Companion. Back in 2006, David Roach and I did a book called The War Libraries, and that's now out of print. And what I wanted to do was to expand and enhance that book, but rather than doing a straight reprint, I decided that what I would do would be to compile a companion volume so that there's an introduction. A few more artists have been identified, a few more writers have been identified. There have been a few corrections to make. So that's in addition to all the new material. The new material basically comprises of 2 introductions. The bulk of the book is a series of biographies of 13 of the main contributors. And these range from Solano Lopez, who drew the very first issue, through British artists like George Stokes, Graham Coton, one of the cover artists, Alan Willow, another cover artist, Frederick E. Smith, who was the author of 633 Squadron, who also contributed, cover artists like Nino Caroselli and Pino Dell'Orco, and then interior artists Juan Abelan, Victor Hugo Arias, Leopoldo Ortiz and his nephew Leopoldo Sanchez, Luis Martinez Mira, and various others, Juan Zanotto and Aldo Di Gennaro. Fernando Fernandez is another one. I can't remember them all. There's copious examples of their work. For the covers especially, we had many years ago taken photos of the original cover artwork. So that's on display for the first time from us. This is the first time that we've actually used a cover art. I think there's about 500 illustrations in the book. You know, they're not all covers, but they're about a good half of them must be. And then we've got the index itself, but this time we've also got a creator's index. So we've got an artist index and a writer's index with notes to bring a little biographical information to all the other artists that aren't in amongst those main essays. And what I'm hoping is that next year I can do at least war, and if not also battle. And again, by the time the 3 volumes are finished, we'll have something like 40 biographies of some of the best artists in the world. At some point, although it's still in print, we've also got the thriller libraries. So again, there's a good chance that once that's out of print, I'll be able to do thriller, super detective, and cowboy comics library in a similar format. So, by the time that's finished, there'll be 70 of the world's greatest artists I'll have written up, which is going to be great fun. I'm actually really looking forward to doing that. You'll be listening to me stumbling over these words, but hopefully you'll have seen some of the artwork that's in these volumes. As I said, I'm very proud of the Air Ace Picture Library Companion. I'm very proud of the 4 volumes that we've done for Mytek. Sales on the Mytek are going okay. It's a 1960s strip, so a lot of modern collectors may not be aware of it. It is a giant robot ape. I keep on telling people this, and you can't go wrong with a giant robot ape. So, I hope you'll give it a try. I hope collectors, there have been a few I know have already seen the book, because I took a proof along to the Colchester Comic Mart in October, and I promised people there that the book will be out in November, and it is. So you can order it directly from me at the moment. We had some trouble during the summer, but that seems to have resolved itself. So I am returning to the process of offering a discount. If you order it directly from me over the next 2 weeks, I will offer you a discount. You can find the discount information and where to pay. It's all done through PayPal. You'll find the information on my Bear Alley Books webpage. After 2 weeks, it will be available through eBay. If you want to combine buying Mytek 4 with buying Mytek 3, get in touch. If you want to order the book from abroad, so that's anywhere in Europe, I will send pretty much anywhere in the world, but get in touch first. The Bear Alley Books and the Bear Alley blog page both got an address where you can contact me. Get in touch. I will figure out the best deal for postage. eBay does offer their global shipping, but I can almost certainly find somewhere cheaper, or some cheaper way of sending stuff to you. So if you're in America especially, and if you're in Europe or Australia, New Zealand, I'll do my best to get you the best shipping cost that I can. It's not always easy. I shipped something out to Singapore recently, and it would cost about £18. Utterly ridiculous. But yeah, I will do my best to find you the best deal. I think that's it. I think that's all I can say. I am working on an index and history of Action. That I'm hoping to have out in time for the anniversary next February. And I've floated an idea with Rebellion about another series that I'd like to reprint. That, again, I remember from when I started buying Valiant, it was still running. So about 68 to 1970, I will keep that under my hat for the moment. Beyond that, there are projects that I want to get back to. The Battle and the War libraries, bizarrely, I have actually started writing little bits for, and the Valiant Index is another one that somebody mentioned recently. And again, I had that started years ago. I just ran out of money. As simple as that. I had to go and do some work, and when I came back, it was not the best time to put out an index. I think I put out some reprints, and the next I started anew. Anyway, hopefully this brief glimpse at these books will intrigue you enough or excite you enough to want to buy copies. Don't forget, it's coming up for Christmas, so you can even get somebody else to buy them for you. If you order in the next 2 weeks, as I said, you can get a discount, and I hope you enjoy them. as much as I've enjoyed putting them together. I do actually enjoy putting these books together. And that sometimes it's sort of like there's a tipping point where I want to work on something. So that's one of the reasons why I end up with little projects put to one side. It goes on the back burner while I work on something else. At the end of all that, I thank you for listening, for taking the time to watch this video. And so, yes, that's our 2 new books. I hope you'll give them a chance, and don't forget, it's Christmas is coming up. So even if you don't want to buy them, make sure that somebody else does. And then you can enjoy them without any costs whatsoever. 2 weeks you've got to get the discount before I put them up on eBay. Unfortunately, at that point, they'll have to go up at full price. My thanks to everyone who has helped out putting these books together. Thanks to Rebellion. Thanks to Richard Sheaf, who has been proofreading the books for me. Thanks to just everyone who's contributed to the Air Ace book. There are quite a few people, not all in the UK, some in America, some in South America, some in Europe, a couple of guys in Spain and Italy. It's a collaborative medium, comics and comics research. And as always, I have to huge shout out to David Roach, who does an astonishing job identifying artists. A sad note, this is a memorial really to David Slynn, who would have been involved in the original lists of these things. Certainly he was involved in the lists for the Cowboy Comics in 2007. We were astonished at David's alacrity and just ability to identify artists. It was quite astonishing, but he will be sorely missed. Anyway, on that note, I will say goodbye, and I will talk to you again soon, hopefully. All right, bye-bye. Bye, bye-bye, bye-bye.